So, I'm thinking a lot about this stuff because I mean, some of y'all just need to know what the slavery actually looks like. And so I want to talk specifically right now about being a runaway slave from spiritual manipulation. And I'm gonna probably, I don't know, it is what it is, what I'm about to say. So I'm just gonna be real, just freaking straight up with you. So there's a church I was a part of called The Rock, where people were being spiritually manipulated. They didn't know. I didn't know I was being spiritually manipulated. And it's actually a pretty intricate system. So what you don't know is that there are people in the church who had and have a big dad wound. Okay, a big dad wound. And when I see D, I'm saying D-A-D, dad wound. And that is a crazy way of manipulating people. And with the way that you do it is in the presence of people, you present yourself in one way, you're something completely different on the other side. But you speak into the wounds of individuals who don't have a father, or who have a really bad relationship with their fathers. And the way that you do that is by helping people to see that their relationship with you as the lead is about performance. Now, if you don't know that that's what's happening, you'll get stuck thinking that the individual that you are serving is the Lord. Now, there are people there who are serving the Lord. I mean, they're legitimately serving the Lord. But psychologically and emotionally, they have no clue that they're being used in this system because of a dad wound. This is probably going to be a little freaking nuts for you to even hear from me right now. But I'm just telling you specifically, okay? I'm just telling you what's up and how it happened. I saw it. Because there were leaders in there who were very willing. Words come out their mouths. You know, we can get them to want to work here. We know we got them. I remember hearing that and I'm like, WTF you just say, dude? Like, what? That's what happened. As long as we can get them to work here, we know we got them. And we got them for life. It's like, holy crap, man, that's hella manipulative. Well, that's how it gets played. And that's going to be a trip for some of y'all to hear this one, man. But that's what happened. And the way that people get manipulated is by just serving and serving and serving. And this is why it's so important for you to understand is that in the spiritual manipulation in that, there's no filling. The filling is left up to you. The filling is left up to you to handle yourself, but the objectives are always given to you. So that's how it was used. But there's also other spiritual manipulation, like by money. Okay, so money's a big thing. Well, I remember there was another church I was a part of where two pastors, they basically were manipulating people with money. People had even to this day, people had no clue they were being manipulated by money. They had no freaking clue. They had no clue. In fact, the reason why one group of people was brought away from the first church was because the pastors knew who was giving. They knew what they were giving. That actually goes against Christian ethics, by the way. Okay, it's pastoral ethics. Pastors should never know what their congregants actually give. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Okay, so if your pastor knows how much you give, you should not be attending that church. I'm just telling you right now. You are a dollar sign. But that's what happened. One pastor, they actually tried to, I won't even say pastor, just say dude who was a part of a freaking cult before. This jackhole, he freaking tried to do something with me and my wife by intimidating us into giving money that he wanted us to give. But I'll stop there. What I'm trying to say is there are individuals that know that money and psychological chains keep people bound. And so in that, when you don't know that you're being manipulated in these ways, people like me are basically left to have to pick up the pieces. I mean, I had people in my living room at one point like pissed off at me specifically because I was then looked at as a new leader, and people had no clue what was actually going on behind the scenes. It was terrible. It was freaking terrible. But there was an entire manipulation that happened, and then another manipulation happened later on, and I had to basically fight my way through that. And I had a discussion with somebody the other day, like, this is ministry? Oh my goodness, man. Yeah, people are freaking dirty. People are freaking dirty. But it's better for you to know that there actually exists a spiritual manipulation that you will not be able to pick out of the crowd. You just won't. And the reason why you won't is because you don't know how the game is played. Now, believe me, if I had known a long time ago, I would have never went on with The Rock. I never would have, because I would have known. I would have just been serving, and I would have still stayed an engineer and all that. But I left my whole career. They got me. They got him. Well, they got me, and I learned some extremely hard lessons. But in that, I met some amazing people. So there was some things in there that were freaking amazing, but then there were things in there that were terrible stuff that I'll discuss another time. But for you to understand what slavery looks like in just that realm, you got to know that there are people out there who play upon the emotions, psychologically, emotionally, and then monetarily within church circles. And they do so to their own detriment, because these people, they'll be judged by what they've done. In fact, I know of one individual who not only got on the phone with me and try to make amends, but turned around later on and did some stuff with some other people that I know that was nefarious. It's like, it is what it is. People are just dirty, and that's who they are to their core. And in Christian circles, you're way like, this is the deal, okay? And I'm gonna be real straight with you, okay? There are people who go into Christian circles because they know they can manipulate you. They know that they can use you. They know that they can get over on you, and you'll think the best of them, and you'll put it on to somebody else or someone. There was always a fight between, oh yeah, well, this guy over here, he's actually the bad guy. Oh no, this guy over here is the bad guy. And it's like, no, they're both freaking bad guys. But that's how it was played. And it's like, well, people don't want to have bad thoughts and bad feelings towards one individual just because they lead the church or whatever. And it's like, no, I mean, you see it. You see the bad side of it, the flip side of it. What they call it, I told you before, it's called behind the veil. And behind the veil can be dirty, man, like real dirty. But that's what I experienced. And then, having to sit, in meetings where individuals were wanting, I'm gonna stop right there. I'll stop right there. But you just need to know and understand that there's a lot more going on in these circles than you would think. And this is not to make you distrust churches, because in reality, what you need to do is you need to find a church where the people who are leading you, not only are they accessible, but they're individuals who aren't, they're not just a facade. They're not just trying to, it's not just a facade. I'll just leave it at that. They're not just a facade. And what you experience with them one-on-one isn't what you'd experience with them in a crowd. Okay, like for me, one of my personal goals when I was in ministry was to be the same dude, the same dude I would be behind a freaking video, the same guy that you see me up on stage, the same dude freaking moving cases from a trailer, the same dude doing all that work and stuff, the same dude teaching a Bible study. I want to be the same dang dude. I didn't want to be put on a mask and put on a show. I wanted to just be the same guy. And that was what I desired to do. Now, not everybody does that. Some people, in fact, I know some like legit pastors still in that system who they are the same individuals, whether they're in front of you or behind, in front of a camera, on the stage or whatever. They are the same individuals. But I also know too that there's individuals there who are not. It's a freaking show. People know. But the thing is, people know who the people know who the show people are. They know. This is what it is. So as you are understanding what slavery means, especially spiritually, I'm actually going to talk next about political slavery, but as you understand what spiritual slavery looks like, you got to understand that there's systems there sometimes that even in your best day, where you're trying to look at the best in the situations, you have to understand that there's people there that count on you doing that, and they manipulate it. That I'm being real with you. I'm being straightforward with you. I'm not hiding nothing. There's things that I've not told you because it's just not time. I'd have a couple discussions, but you just need to understand that there's people out there like that, and they know how to move a crowd, not just toward things that really aren't even about God, but are about personal promotion. Okay, so I'm just being real with you and just straightforward with you about it. Okay, so To be a runaway slave means that you're somebody like me that speaks into it, that understands that there are individuals out there that don't like me speaking into it, but really not worrying about that, because I need to honor my God above anything. Because the one thing that we as pastors we're responsible to, I mean, it says in the Word of God, if you're a preacher teacher, you're held to a higher account. And it's not just higher account about your preaching and teaching, it's also about your leading too. So I understand that. And so to lead people into, you know, a place that they might get chewed up and spit out. I mean, people understand if you're I asked a question one time. I was like, if we're so worried about getting people in, why aren't we worried about people going out? Like, how many people are we freaking like booting out of here? That was like a real question I had, and there was really no answer to it. It's a turnstile. People get used, abused, and spit out. That's what happened to me. So it is what it is. I got used for what I was good at, and then we're done with you. I should tell you guys about the freaking conversation I had in my exit interview. That was straight shenanigans, man. But whatever, it is whatever. So you need to know what spiritual manipulation looks like, spiritual slavery. Because if you become a spiritual slave to the wrong individuals, you'll end up getting used. You want to be a slave to Christ Jesus, like what Paul says. Being a slave to Christ, that means being a slave to righteousness, a slave to God's glory, a slave to the truth of the cross. Nothing more, nothing less. If you become a slave to somebody else's objectives, you might just be a slave. You might just be a dang slave. Yeah, get to work.